of your gathering for an organization that was started by two absolutely remarkable heroes. Heroes of freedom, heroes of faith. Eugene and Jean Gluck, and I am grateful for their amazing courage, dedication, and sacrifice so that people can live free. This 28th year, the year of strength, a great time to get together. I'm also extraordinarily blessed to be able to be at the table with a person who has become a very dear and personal friend, Dr. Joe Frager and his wife Karen. I'm deeply thrilled that we honor him tonight at Nashville. Now, I do want to be very careful in saying that I think Joe all but announced my candidacy for president. Thank you, Joe, but I'm not quite ready to do that. I also want to acknowledge some dear friends who are here with whom I've had the privilege of traveling to Israel with on more than one occasion. My special friend, Dr. Paul Brody, I don't know where he is in this crowd. Where are you, Paul? Would you stand up or wave? You can't tell any jokes. There you go. Joe Hyman is not here, but his wife Shani is, and I don't know where Shani is, but I want to say thanks also to her. They have been special friends. I used to tell people, Joe Hyman is a Democrat in the New York Assembly, and I said often, if the Republicans had been as effusive in their support for me as Joe, I might be president today. Unfortunately, I never could quite get that going. When I ran for president, I started out with so little name recognition that I would travel all over the country. Nobody knew who the heck I was. And that's kind of tough. In fact, I remember going to Denver, getting off an airplane, going up to the car and encounter with my press secretary to rent a car to go to a fundraising event we were to attend. And she put the campaign credit card up on the desk for the clerk. The clerk took it, and it, of course, said Huckabee for president. And she read that, and she looked up and she says, Huckabee for president. Huh. President of what? That kind of hurts when you're actually running for president of the United States. I traveled in virtual obscurity all over the country. I could go most anywhere. Unless someone was a hardcore political junkie, they had no idea who I was and didn't care. Now, the amazing thing was, when the campaign was over, and I ended up finishing second to John McCain in the Republican primary, I took this job with Fox News Channel. And what I discovered was that people pay more attention to who's on television than who is in the White House. Obviously, by the results that you've now seen. But it was interesting to me that after going on television every week, now I can't travel anywhere without people saying, aren't you that guy on TV? I watch your show. In fact, I have a number of people tonight, and I deeply appreciate it, because that's job security for me, who indicated that they watch my show on the Fox News Channel every week. Now, every now and then I'm thinking, well, everyone must watch it. I do believe that our Creator has a magnificent sense of humor. And sometimes I'm convinced that He gets right to where we live. I travel through Atlanta several times almost a week because I'm traveling all the time speaking when I'm not in New York doing the show. And I'm there so much that I know a lot of the Delta airline employees by name, and I was there visiting with some of them. And sometimes, because they know I'm coming, I'll take pictures with them or sign a book or something for them, relatives that watch the television show. And as I was doing that, there was a young lady watching all of this, and so she got up and walked over where we were, and she said to me, excuse me, I think I know who you are. Well, I'm kind of getting used to that from time to time. And I said, oh, you do? She said, yes. You're on television, aren't you? I said, yes, I am. And you're in politics too, aren't you? I said, well, I have been, yes. She said, I knew it. I knew it. You're Bob Dole, aren't you? True story, folks. I want you to know I love Senator Dole. He's one of my favorite people. He's a great American and a great patriot. But he's 87 years old. On this fifth night of Hanukkah, I want to say to you that I know that this night is about really three things. It is about lights. It is also about land. But most importantly, it is about liberty. It is about the time in which the people of the Jewish faith recognize the great miracle of God in taking oil that was really capable of only lasting the lamp for one day and extending its life for 8 days. But as Rabbi Pearl of Long Island has often reminded us, it is not so much the miracle of military victory, but the miracle of the life for the future that this incredible moment of history truly represents. And so this evening is about the lights. The lights that I hope will burn brightly, because they are lights that are not just about the Jewish people, but about all people who love freedom and who believe that every single human life matters and has worth and value and should never be devalued by the hate of any government, any madman, or any other religion and denigrated into oblivion. Now, in the summer of 2008, we were in Israel. It was in the August season, very hot. It was before John McCain had announced his running mate, and after I had been eliminated from the competition, but had come in second, and therefore there was some speculation that I might be on his list for vice president. There we were in Israel, and a Time magazine reporter went to Paul Brody, which in itself is a dangerous thing, but went to Dr. Brody and said, "What do you think about John McCain picking Huckabee as his vice presidential candidate?" To which the ever quick and clever Dr. Paul Brody remarked, "I think that would be great. If you had McCain and Huckabee, you would have a Maccabee ticket, and it might be a marvelous thing for the future of Israel." Well, that didn't happen. Instead, John McCain decided to go sailing with Palin, and we ended up between a rock and a hard place. So there we are. This night is also not only about the lights, it is about land. As has been mentioned, I visited Bethel in 2009. I guess every time I go, and I've been to Israel 14 times, I will be going back the end of January, first part of February, for the 15th time, and taking about 200 Americans with me so they can see firsthand what I've come to understand about this magnificent and wonderful land. But I hear about the so-called freeze, and I say so-called because it makes no sense. It is counterintuitive to everything that it is supposed to bring about. The idea that there is going to be a freeze or a cessation of the ability of people who own their own land in their own country to not be able to do with that land as they please in order to exact peace out of an enemy who does not even recognize the authority of Israel to exist. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And it is all of nothing. In fact, if we really are serious about bringing the Palestinians to some point of peace, it must begin with their recognition of the right of Israel to exist, and then it must also happen with an understanding that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel, and that will not be over. It would seem to me that there would be a great deal more pressure put on the Palestinians to come to the peace table, if there ever is to be such a thing, if instead of saying that the Israelis cannot build in their own land, to ask them to accelerate the building as much as possible and put as many Israelis in those lands, which is exactly the goal it should be for every person who loves the freedom and the future of the nation of Israel. On our own southern border at El Paso and Juarez, Mexico, there is a stark distinction because in Juarez it is one of the most murderous places on the face of the earth with the highest homicide rate on the planet. Just across the border in El Paso, remarkably, surprisingly, and astonishingly, the homicide rate in El Paso is one of the lowest in the world, and specifically in the United States. It's largely because of an outstanding mayor and police chief and a very serious government of El Paso that understands that right at its border is a line of extraordinary violence, but they don't have to welcome it into their own city. And they have been able to maintain order, even though they are literally but yards away from that which is a polar opposite to their culture and lifestyle. For anyone to suggest that the way to make a more peaceful Israel is to, in essence, open the gates, tear down all the walls of security and safety, and invite that level of violence into their neighborhoods is simply absurd. With my own eyes, I have been to Sderot. I have walked behind the police station to see thousands of rockets that were fired from Gaza directly into synagogues and playgrounds and homes and shops in that community. One can stand in Sderot and see just a few hundred yards and know that behind that area of Gaza, rockets may any moment be fired. And I've said to many American friends who've said to me, why don't the Israelis just give up something in order to bring peace? I said, let me ask you this. Now, we're good friends with Canada, and rightfully so. But suppose we got into a dispute with Canada, and they started lobbing a few rockets over into Buffalo, New York. How many rockets would it take before every single living American would say, enough, we must stop, and we must do whatever it takes to allow no more of those rockets into the peace and safety of our community? I said, how many would it take? And every one of them said, it would take one. I said, the Israelis have endured thousands. Don't you think it's time that we recognize their right to protect themselves against that level of violence?